You wake up, and there is no star-spangled banner outside your window. Because America lost. What if the shot heard round the world missed? What if Washington surrendered at Yorktown? What if the Union Jack never came down from Boston to Savannah? You are about to find out. Because in this timeline, you pledge allegiance to the crown. Your iPhone does not exist. Hollywood is a sheep farm. And the internet is owned by the king. But here is the twist. You might be living longer. Because without a revolution, science started 100 years early. What nobody realizes is that losing the war saved millions of lives and killed the idea of freedom forever. The date is October 19th, 1781. Yorktown, Virginia. The air smells like wet gunpowder, horse blood, and cold rain. You hear a single cannon stop firing. Then silence. It is the kind of silence that ends worlds. General George Washington stands in a tent. The canvas is soaked. The floor is mud. He has not slept in 3 days. He looks at the dispatch from Admiral de Grasse. The French fleet left. They sailed back to the Caribbean. The promised gunpowder, the food, the reinforcements, all gone. His men are starving. 1 in 3 has no shoes. The smell of infection is everywhere. You hear a boy coughing. He is 16. He will be dead by morning. Lord Cornwallis sends a letter. It is polite. It offers full pardon. It offers food. It offers to let Washington keep his farm. The only price is a signature. Washington dips the quill. The ink is cold and thick. His hand shakes, not from fear, from fever. 1 signature. The Continental Army is disbanded. The rebellion is over. It was that close. Can you imagine a world where 1 boat leaving harbor erases your country? The butterfly flapped its wings in the Atlantic. The hurricane is coming. The next morning, British drums play in Yorktown. Redcoats march in. They do not burn the town. They feed it. Loyalists weep with relief. Patriots are silent. You touch the rough bark of a tree. You carve nothing into it. Because carving your initials now means treason. King George III calls it the American Preservation Act of 1782. The 13 colonies are not free. They are restored provinces. Every schoolhouse must hang a portrait of the king. Every newspaper must be approved in London. The Liberty Bell is taken by ship to England. It is melted down. The metal becomes medals for British officers who ended the colonial unrest. You can smell the hot bronze in the Philadelphia Mint. The sound of hammers replaces the sound of freedom. You walk into Independence Hall. It is now the Royal Courthouse of Pennsylvania. The chair Washington sat in is burned. You touch the ashes. They are still warm. The next 100 years bleed red. Britain does not grant freedom. It studies the rebellion like a disease. And it builds a cure. First, the French Revolution still happens in 1789. The people of Paris hear rumors of American freedom. But this time, there is no American example to follow. No Constitution to copy. No Washington to imitate. The revolution has no playbook. What nobody realizes is that America was the proof that kings could fall. So the French uprising fails in 18 months. Napoleon Bonaparte is a young artillery officer. He is captured in 1795 and shot as a traitor against the French crown. Europe never sees his code of law. It never sees his wars. The sound you hear in Paris in 1800 is not La Marseillaise. It is the king's anthem. The texture of Europe's map stays the same. A chessboard of kings and emperors. No nations, only crowns. Second, slavery ends, but the cost is different. Britain abolished slavery in 1833 in our world. In this timeline, they do it in 1829 because the cotton farms of Georgia and South Carolina are crown property. Parliament cannot afford a slave revolt in its biggest colony, so it frees the slaves by law. But there is no Civil War in 1861, no Abraham Lincoln, no Emancipation Proclamation, no Gettysburg Address. You never learn those words in school. Can you imagine a world where fourscore and 7 years ago was never spoken? Your history textbook is thin. One paragraph says, the Slavery Resolution Act of 1829 granted wages to all workers in the southern provinces. The crown prevailed. The texture of the page is smooth. There are no battle scars, because there were no battles. But here is the twist. Without a civil war, America never industrializes for war. The factories that built tanks in 1940 were never built. The railroads that moved armies were never laid. The South stays farms. The North stays ports. The country is rich, but it is not a superpower. It is a colony. Third, westward expansion is strangled. King George III draws a line at the Appalachian Mountains in 1783. He calls it the Proclamation Line forever. No settler can cross it without a royal seal. No manifest destiny. No Oregon Trail. No California Gold Rush in 1849. The native nations are different too. The Iroquois, the Cherokee, the Lakota, they all signed treaties directly with London. The Crown wants them as a buffer against French Canada and Spanish Mexico. You look at a map in 1850. The continent is half empty. The smell of pine and buffalo outnumbers the smell of cities. You touch the map. West of the Mississippi, it just says reserved for the Crown. It was that close. One signature at Yorktown. Now the entire 19th century is rewritten. The good. Technology runs early because Britain is terrified of another rebellion. The best way to stop a revolution is to make people comfortable and watched. Charles Babbage is not ignored. The Crown gives him a royal grant in 1825. His analytical engine, a mechanical computer the size of a room, works by 1840. The sound of steam, gears, and clacking brass. You touch a brass keyboard in the British Museum in 1855. It can calculate taxes for the entire empire in one day. The telegraph becomes the VictoriNet by 1870. Copper cables are laid under the Atlantic by royal engineers. By 1880, a message from London to Bombay takes 60 seconds. By 1900, every major city in the empire has a public message office. You walk in, you type on a brass terminal, you pay 1 penny, and your message appears in Calcutta. No Silicon Valley. There is only Steam Valley in Manchester. Medicine jumps forward 100 years. No Revolutionary War means Harvard and Yale are never burned. They are funded by the Crown as Royal Colonial Colleges. Smallpox vaccine is mandated by the King in 1805. Cholera is understood by 1830. Your life expectancy in 1900 is 65, not 47. The smell of carbolic acid in clean hospitals saves millions. You can imagine a world where your great-grandfather did not die at 40. The bad. But here's the cost. There's no America to stop fascism. World War I still starts in 1914. A Serbian shoots an archduke. The dominoes fall. But the British Empire in this timeline is exhausted. It controls a quarter of the world, from Canada to India to Australia. It cannot fight a world war and police a world empire at the same time. Germany still rises. But this time, there is no United States to join in 1917. There is no arsenal of democracy. Britain runs out of men and money by 1916. The war ends in a stalemate. Germany keeps France. The Kaiser keeps his crown. World War II starts anyway in 1939. But there is no D-Day. There is no American fleet. Britain, alone and bankrupt, makes peace with Hitler in 1942. The deal is simple. Germany gets Europe. Britain keeps its empire. You hear German on the radio in Paris. You read Russian in the newspapers of Warsaw. The world map is 3 colors. Red for Britain, black for Germany, gray for Russia. What nobody realizes is that America was the tiebreaker for the 20th century. Without it, the world splits into 3 empires. And none of them are free. And the internet, the VictoriNet, stays a tool for the Crown, the military, and the rich. Public access is illegal until 1995. The King's Privacy Act says all messages can be read by the Royal Post. No startups. No Google. No Facebook. No YouTube. The sound of your room at night is quiet. You write letters. The texture of paper and wax seals is your only social media. Can you imagine a world where you cannot post your thoughts? The dystopian. By 2026, you are a subject of the British Empire, not a citizen. You do not vote. You do not own guns. You do not own your data. You scan your thumb to buy tea in Boston, British North America. The BV phone, British Victorian phone, tracks your loyalty score. It is brass. It weighs 2 pounds. It has 3 apps. Mail, Map, and Majesty. You touch the cold metal. It unlocks with your fingerprint and your oath to the king. Speak against the crown and your train pass stops working. Post a meme of the king and your bank account freezes for 30 days. The air in London smells like coal again because the empire burned oil without American innovation. Electric cars were banned in 1970 as unreliable colonial tech. Hollywood does not exist. Los Angeles is a port city called New Brighton. You watch the Royal Film Board. Every movie is about a brave redcoat saving natives from themselves. All films end with the king winning. Music is state approved. Rock and roll was banned in 1955 as colonial noise and rebellion. You have never heard Elvis. You have never heard a guitar solo. The sound in your headphones is a hymn or a military march. Your house has a picture of King William V. You must hang it in the living room. The royal inspection occurs twice a year. You smell the polish the inspectors use on their boots. It is the smell of control. You were that close to freedom. One signature, one fleet leaving, one winter at Valley Forge that never ended. And now you are here. So this is 2026 if Washington signed the surrender. No USA, no moon landing, no internet as you know it, no Hollywood, just the crown, from Canada to Cape Town to Calcutta. The sun never sets on the British Empire because it never had to. But here is the final twist. Your life is safer. You have healthcare. You have no school shootings. You have no culture wars. The trains run on time. The question is not whether you are alive. The question is whether you are free. This is how the river of time could have flowed. But what do you think? Would humanity be better off in this timeline? Is safety worth your voice? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next ripple of history.